Okay, so now for the Thursday night item, your lecture, there's three different videos, but what you'll end up doing in these topics, if you haven't been introduced to CMS, content management systems, now is the time. I think the last statistic I heard is 30% of the web is made up of WordPress sites. And Squarespace is kind of eating into some of that territory, and these are pre-set up sites. Not always what you might call WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. That'd be like a Wix site, but these are very commonly used by developers, coders, designers. So first, create a directory CMS, create a README file, watch this video about the differences between Squarespace and WordPress, and then create another file, and in this case called payments, because now these are not necessarily that they're related, it was just two topics I needed to get through. And in this case, do payments. So imagine anytime you pay for something on the web for the user, it's like, okay, I put in my credit card, right? I could have varying levels of confidence in the site. If I wasn't completely confident, I probably shouldn't use it. But what this is really describing is the process that happens behind the scenes. And what you really want to understand is at least the beginnings of this, the payment gateways, how it works, and these are topics that I find most beginners don't have any experience with. So walking away with some exposure to them is good. So, like I say, in this case, make sure you give each of these videos a heading so I can see the different content that you write. So, on both of them, watch both of these videos, and then also this one. I think this one's not very long; it's 10 minutes, right? So this one's very short, 3 minutes. This just gives you that overview, and then this gives you a little more context. This is minutes. So, um, I can really will look at this content. I would want to see more, of course, of your notes here. Not so much here, but an overview. And like I said, this was pretty quick, but I at least wanted to introduce the concepts. Okay, so that's the first item, the lecture for this week. And then kind of like what I did for week 7, Monday night, I'm going to go to here and then come back to here. So on images on the web, there's a video here I want you to check out because having an understanding about images themselves and how to optimize them, and they give you a site here you can use. I use my local program for Mac. You can use your Windows one as well. But here's what you really want to know is there are different types of images for the web. You want to create the highest quality, lowest image size so that it loads quick, right? So you really this idea of optimizing is way important. Okay, so watch the video. Right, you can use this side, or like I said, use your favorite one. So one of the things, and I'll just show you how I do this on my side. So I have a program built in to Mac. Like here's one, here's an image I was looking at earlier. And so one thing I can do here is I can adjust the size. Okay, and this is like a large, look how large this is, right? And so that wouldn't be the size. And I think I already talked about in this case, I can't adjust the width. It automatically adjusts the height because it locks these two, so they scale proportionately. And you can see just by this step how much less that file is. Okay. And that's part of what I want you to do is just go through, find 3 images that you want to use for your project zero, and go through this process of, trying to find. It was relatively easy for me. I had some images that were posted by some of the races that I've done, and to find them. And then, like I showed you, I went through and figured out what size I wanted them to be. So then once you have that done, what I want you to do is create a new page. Now you're going to end up doing this. You'll create for the hands-on assignment, so you might as well get introduced to it here. And let me just show you my output of what my page ended up looking like. So select at least 3, optimize them with whatever program you want. Use that one that they talk about. Here's the megapixels, so the pixels wide and the pixels across and down, width and height, width and height, and then the actual size. So, and then here's a large version, right? 6,000. Now, what I ended up doing in my HTML is I ended up specifying the width and height, and I need to play with this a little bit because had I not done that, I'm just going to show you like for this one, had I not specified in my image tag the width and the height, then that image would have come out so large, right? That it's really not viewable. So that's why I include them just for user ability. So you want to have 3 of these that you've gone through, selected, and optimized. Now, this image, once you post it to GitHub, to your GitHub IO, is not linked inside your menu anywhere. It should not be. It's just really for us to kind of play around with these concepts. Okay. All right. So do that. Ask for any help that you might need in there, and do use your template site, your design itself, and call it images.html. Okay. And then optimize, right? Using that program, create, get workflow, provide us a get IO, and then do 2 replies as well. So 150 about your experience at doing this. Okay, so now we kind of jumped over, not kind of, I did jump over. So let's go back into the most important thing I think you do this week, which is create your menu. Oh, sorry, that was last week. That was on Monday. This is Thursday. If you hadn't decided, now is the time. This is your last opportunity if you're going to change it. Build out your menu, right? And then you can reply here with an outline, what you think you will have on each page. You could change this as well, but I want you to, on the site itself, go ahead and build out the menu. So I'll show you how I did this, okay? So on my index file, let me close a few things. So close images, right? And actually show you the site itself. So here's my index file. And what I ended up doing was like, here's the pages. Like I'm going to have an about page. And now on my about page, I haven't changed the rest of these. And this is where I would really recommend, right, having one page that you then copy to use, because you'll end up, if you don't, you'll have to change each of these. Okay. So what do I mean by that? So here's my about page, right? And on my about page, there's a resume link, which I know based on clicking home, I had already changed to passions. That's going to be my passion.html. And if I click on there right now, that page doesn't exist because what I did here is in my index is I updated my nav to be those HTMLs, but I haven't created them yet. Okay. So there's a couple things I could do here. I'm going to take my about page. Okay. I'm going to use that about page. Let me go find where the nav is, right? So notice this has the old navigation on it. So to make my life easier, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the index page where I'd already done this particular work. Okay. I'm going to copy this in my index file. I'm going to go to my about, and then I'm going to paste it here. And now why am I doing this is because it just makes my life easier. It's quicker. Okay. So now if I go back here, let me show you. At least now when I go to the about, I see the passions, right? So that's the first thing. So I'm creating my menu and my landing pages for my menu as I go through this. So it's kind of doing, again, moving towards your project 0. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my about page and I'm going to create some of these sub pages, but I wouldn't do that, quite honestly, until I really look through here, right? And see if there was anything else I needed to change. Like, as an example, now, by the way, if you do end up having to hit each page later, like here'd be a good one. Like let's see where this is at. Yeah, right here. This is like content, like in the name. This would be a perfect one right here, right? So in the about page, before I start copying them, right, I'd want to give, like if I do have, and by the way, if you don't use some of these, then get rid of them, right? So HTTP, I think I still have, I haven't been on there in a while, right? So then I'd want to give those links. That way I wouldn't have to do it later. Okay. Do I have? Oh, I do. Okay. I haven't been there in a while. Um, anyway, make all the changes that you feel like you're going to make as much as possible, because what you're about to do here, and I can just show you, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the about, now that I've modified it, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it, and then it'll give me, the about copy. That's the name it'll create. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it passions .html. Now before I do that, or actually even after I do it, what did I call it on my link? I did put S, okay? So by doing that now, if I go back to the index, oh, and I gotta fix that too. Because what you want is to make sure your page, your site is correctly when somebody navigates it, that it works correctly. So here we go on the about and then the passions. Cool, it's there. So now I could go in and update the content, right? So now I'd go to passions and I'd go about Rio, and I would say maybe like this, because this is part of what you need to update. And I also need to update this metadata in here. So about Rio's passions, right? And I come down here, and at least that way, the reason I'd make some minimum changes, right, at this point is so that when I'm just navigating the site, just here, I can see what, because here I would then have a little bit of content and then links to all the pages underneath my passions. Remember, as I said before, on the project zero, I have one, two, three, four, five, probably most of the pages will be under these four, which is fine. So then I need to create subpages, but for today, the thing you want to do, oh, and I also want to change that content. So this is the idea of building out your menu. So first do that, build out your menu, and then you don't have to build all your sub pages, but in your reply here, right, give us an outline of what that looks like. Remember, you have all these wonderful, right? So if I said index, right, we know what that is, right? Main page, and then under there, under that menu, you might have, like I said, passions. And then what would you have under that? So then link, right? Or in this case, create pages, right? What are the pages that are going to be here? Like, so for me, it'd be teaching. It's one of my passions. Another one of my passions is health. Okay, so I'd go on and then I'd list all of the ones I think that are going to fall under here. And then when I'm ready, I'd come back, I'd decrease, and then I'd go, okay. Oh, actually, what I'd want to do is do about, right? And then under about, I'd have, okay, what are the pages that are going to fall under there? Okay, so so there's two things you're doing. You're starting to build out your menu, right? And your pages. Do as much of this menu building as you can, because again, anything you do at this point that helps you move that forward is actually working towards your project zero. So use this to the best of your benefit. And this is a perfect time that if you're confused, like your site, you don't understand how to make some of these changes, come talk to me. That's what I'm there for. Okay. I hope this helps you out, and I'll talk to you later.